What happens when one of Hollywood's most enigmatic actors sits down with one of television's most outspoken hosts and refuses to play by the usual rules? The tension in the studio is about to reach a boiling point, and what unfolds is a masterclass in how to handle confrontation with grace, wit, and an iron will. Before we dive into this incredible exchange, make sure you subscribe and drop a comment below telling us whose side you're on in this clash. Because trust me, you're going to have an opinion by the end of this. Johnny Depp walks onto The View, set to a mixed reaction from the audience. Some are cheering, others are silent, and the energy is already charged before he even takes his seat. Joy Behar is sitting at the table with that look she gets when she's ready to dig in. The kind of look that says she's already decided where this conversation is going. Depp settles into his chair, gives a polite nod to the panel, and you can see it in his eyes. He knows exactly what kind of interview this is going to be. Joy wastes no time. She leans forward, locks eyes with him, and says, "So Johnny, let's just address the elephant in the room. You've been through a lot publicly, and a lot of people have strong opinions about you. Do you think you deserve the redemption arc that Hollywood seems to be giving you right now?" The question hangs in the air like a loaded gun. The audience goes quiet. The other hosts glance at each other. Depp doesn't flinch. He takes a slow breath, tilts his head slightly, and responds in that calm, measured tone he's known for. "Joy, I appreciate the question, but I think the premise is flawed. I'm not looking for redemption, and I'm certainly not asking Hollywood or anyone else for permission to exist. I'm here because I'm an actor. I love my craft, and I've never stopped working, even when people wanted me to disappear." Joy isn't satisfied with that. She presses harder. "But don't you think you owe the public some accountability? I mean, we've all seen the headlines. We've all heard the testimonies. How do you expect people to just move on and pretend none of that happened?" Her tone is sharp, almost accusatory, and you can feel the shift in the room. The other hosts are watching carefully now, unsure if they should jump in or let this play out. Depp leans back in his chair, crosses one leg over the other, and for a moment, he just looks at her. It's not a glare, it's not defensive, it's more like he's studying her, figuring out how much energy he wants to give this. Then he speaks, and his voice is steady but firm. "Accountability to whom? Joy. To you, to the people who read headlines but never bothered to look at the evidence. I went through a very public legal battle. Everything was laid out in court. Everything. The truth came out, and I was vindicated. So if you're asking me to apologize for being a victim of lies and manipulation, then I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed." The audience reacts. Some people applaud, others murmur. Joy raises her hand like she's trying to calm them down, but you can see she's rattled. She didn't expect him to come back that hard. She regroups quickly though, because this is what she does. She pivots. Okay, but let's talk about the trial itself. There were moments in that trial, Johnny, where things were said, things were shown, that didn't exactly paint you as a saint either. You've admitted to drinking, to drug use, to sending some pretty disturbing texts. How do you reconcile that with this image you're trying to rebuild? Depp doesn't hesitate this time. He jumps in before she can even finish her thought. "I'm not trying to rebuild an image, Joy. I'm a human being, not a brand. Yes, I've struggled with addiction. Yes, I've said things in private that I'm not proud of. But show me one person who hasn't had a dark moment, who hasn't said something they regret when they're in pain. The difference is, my dark moments were dragged into the public and weaponized against me. And even with all of that, the jury still saw the truth. They saw who the real aggressor was." Joy leans back now, crossing her arms. She's not backing down, but she's also realizing this isn't going to be the takedown she might have hoped for. She switches tactics again. "All right, so you feel vindicated by the jury. But what about the court of public opinion? Because let's be honest, Johnny, a lot of people still don't believe you. A lot of people think you got away with something because you're a rich, famous man. What do you say to them?" Depp smiles, but it's not a happy smile. It's the kind of smile that says he's heard this 1,000 times and he's tired of it. "I say, believe what you want. I can't control what people think, and I've learned the hard way that trying to please everyone is a losing game. The people who know me, the people who worked with me, the people who were actually there, they know the truth. And honestly, that's enough for me. If someone wants to believe a narrative that was created by tabloids and social media, that's their choice. But I'm not going to spend the rest of my life defending myself to people who've already made up their minds." Joy jumps in again, her voice rising slightly. "But don't you think, as someone with a platform, you have a responsibility to, I don't know, set an example, to show that you're learning, growing, becoming a better person?" Depp's expression shifts. He's getting frustrated now. You can see it in the way his jaw tightens, but he keeps his composure. "Joy, with all due respect, I don't owe anyone a performance of growth. I've been through hell. I've lost years of my life, my reputation, my career, because of lies. And now you're sitting here asking me to prove that I'm a good person. I don't need to prove anything to you or anyone else. I know who I am. The people I love know who I am, and that's what matters." The tension is thick now. The other hosts are shifting uncomfortably, and the audience doesn't know whether to clap or stay silent. Joy, to her credit, doesn't back down. She leans forward again, and her voice drops to a more serious tone. Okay, Johnny, I hear you, but let's talk about something specific. During the trial, there were recordings, there were texts, there was evidence of a very toxic relationship. Both sides were guilty of bad behavior. So why is it that you get to walk away as the hero, and your ex-wife gets vilified? Doesn't that bother you? Doesn't that seem unfair? Depp takes a long pause. This is the moment where he could lose his cool, where he could snap, but he doesn't. Instead, he speaks slowly, deliberately. I never asked to be anyone's hero, Joy, and I certainly never asked for anyone to be vilified. What happened between me and my ex-wife was a private matter that became very public. But here's the thing. I didn't make it public. I didn't go on talk shows. I didn't write op-eds. I didn't try to destroy her career. I defended myself in court, and the jury made their decision based on the evidence. If people are angry about that, then maybe they should be asking themselves why they believed a story that wasn't true in the first place. Joy opens her mouth to respond, but Depp isn't finished. He continues, and there's a fire in his voice now that wasn't there before. You want to talk about fairness? Let's talk about fairness. I lost jobs, I lost roles, I was blacklisted, before any trial even happened. I was guilty in the eyes of the public the moment the accusation was made. Where was the fairness in that? Where was the presumption of innocence? I had to fight for years just to get my day in court, and even then, people like you are still questioning whether I deserve to exist in this industry. So forgive me if I'm not crying over the fact that the truth finally came out. The studio is silent. Joy is staring at him, clearly trying to figure out her next move. The other hosts look like they want to jump in but don't know how, and Depp just sits there, calm, composed, waiting. Joy finally breaks the silence, but her voice has changed. There's less aggression now, more calculation. She's regrouping. Okay, Johnny, I understand you're frustrated. I get it. But let me ask you this. Do you think the Me Too movement got it wrong with you? Because that's essentially what you're saying, right? That you were falsely accused, that you were the real victim. Don't you worry that your case will be used by actual abusers to discredit real victims? Depp's eyes narrow slightly. He knows this is a trap question, the kind designed to make him look bad no matter how he answers it. But he doesn't dodge it. He meets it head on. Joy, the Me Too movement is important. It's necessary. It's given voice to people who were silenced for too long, and I support that completely. But here's what I don't support. The idea that we should abandon due process and truth just because we're afraid of what it might mean for a movement. False accusations happen. They're rare, but they happen. And when they do, they hurt everyone. They hurt real victims because they give ammunition to people who want to discredit them, and they destroy innocent people's lives. So no, I don't think the movement got it wrong with me. I think individuals made choices, and those choices had consequences. Joy jumps in quickly, not wanting to lose momentum. But don't you see how your case has been weaponized? I mean, right now, all over the internet. People are using what happened to you as proof that women lie, that accusations can't be trusted. How do you feel about that? Depp shakes his head, and there's something almost sad in his expression now. How do I feel about it? I feel like it's tragic, but it's not my fault. Joy, I didn't create that narrative. I didn't ask for any of this. I was just trying to clear my name and get my life back. If other people are twisting what happened for their own agenda, that's on them, not me. I can't control how people interpret the truth. All I can do is tell it. One of the other hosts, who's been quiet up until now, finally speaks up. She tries to soften the tone a bit. Johnny, I think what Joy is trying to get at is, what do you want people to take away from your story? What's the lesson here? Depp turns to her, and his expression softens just a little. He seems to appreciate the genuine question. I want people to understand that everyone deserves to be heard. Everyone deserves to have their side told. And most importantly, everyone deserves the presumption of innocence until proven otherwise. That's not a controversial idea, or at least it shouldn't be. But somewhere along the way, we decided that certain accusations are automatically true, and certain people are automatically guilty. And that's dangerous. That's how innocent lives get destroyed. Joy isn't letting go. She comes back in, her voice sharp again. But Johnny, you had resources. You had lawyers. You had money. You had a platform. Most people who are falsely accused don't have those things. So isn't your story kind of an outlier? Doesn't it prove that the system works for rich people and not for everyone else? Depp nods slowly, acknowledging the point. You're right. I had resources that most people don't have. And yes, that absolutely made a difference. But do you know what that tells me? It tells me that if someone with all the resources I had still almost lost everything, then what chance does an average person have? If I, with the best lawyers money can buy, still spent years being dragged through the mud, still lost jobs, still had my name destroyed, what happens to someone who doesn't have those advantages? That's the real problem. Joy, the system is broken for everyone. Joy pauses. You can see she didn't expect that answer. She thought she had him cornered, but he flipped it. She regroups again, trying a different angle. All right, so let's talk about your career moving forward. You've got projects coming up. You're being welcomed back. But do you ever worry that you'll always be defined by this? That every interview, every role, every appearance, people are going to bring this up? Depp smiles, and this time it's more genuine. Of course, I worry about that. I'm human, but I also know that good work speaks for itself. If I focus on doing what I love, if I keep creating, keep telling stories, eventually, that will be what people remember. Or maybe it won't. Maybe I will always be defined by this. But if that's the case, then at least it'll be defined by the truth, not by lies. Joy leans in, her tone shifting to something almost conversational, like she's trying to get him to lower his guard. You've been in this industry for decades. Johnny, you've seen it all. Do you think Hollywood has changed for the better, or do you think it's gotten worse? Depp considers this for a moment, then answers carefully. I think Hollywood has always been complicated. It's an industry built on image and perception, and that can be both beautiful and ugly. What's changed is the speed at which things happen now. Social media, the internet, the 24-hour news cycle, it all moves so fast that people don't have time to think, to breathe, to actually look at the facts. Everyone just reacts. And in that environment, it's really easy to destroy someone. It's much harder to rebuild. Joy nods, but then she goes for the jugular again. So do you think you've been destroyed, or do you think you've been rebuilt? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're doing just fine. You're back in the spotlight. You're getting roles. You're on talk shows. So, what exactly did you lose? The question hangs there, and you can feel the shift in the room. Even the other hosts look uncomfortable now. Depp's face hardens. He's not angry, but he's not smiling either. What did I lose? I lost years of my life. Joy. I lost time with my children that I can never get back. I lost friendships. I lost trust. I lost my sense of safety. I lost the ability to walk down the street without people having an opinion about me before they even know me. So yeah, I'm working again, and I'm grateful for that. But don't sit there and tell me I didn't lose anything. You have no idea what it's like to have your entire life put on trial for the world to see. Joy starts to respond, but Depp cuts her off, his voice rising just slightly. And you know what the worst part is? It's not the people who believed the lies. It's the people who knew the truth and stayed silent. It's the people in this industry who worked with me for years, who knew exactly who I was, and they said nothing. They watched me get destroyed, and they protected themselves. That's what I lost. Joy. I lost my faith in a lot of people. The studio is dead quiet now. Joy looks like she's trying to decide whether to push further or pull back. She chooses to push. So you're saying you feel betrayed by Hollywood. Do you think you'll ever be able to trust this industry again? Depp takes a breath. And when he speaks, his voice is quieter, more measured. I don't know. Trust is a hard thing to rebuild. But I'm not naive. I know how this business works. People protect themselves. They protect their careers. I don't fault them for that, even if it hurt. What I do fault is the hypocrisy. The same people who preach about believing victims and standing up for what's right. They were the first ones to throw me under the bus without even asking questions. So yeah, I'm cautious now. I'm careful about who I let in, and maybe that's a good thing. Joy leans back, crossing her arms again. She's quiet for a moment, then asks, do you think you'll ever talk to your ex-wife again? Will there ever be any kind of closure or reconciliation? Depp's expression doesn't change. No, there's nothing to reconcile. What happened, happened. We both have to live with it. I've moved on, and I assume she has too. There's no reason for us to ever speak again. Joy presses. But don't you think there's value in forgiveness? In letting go of the anger? Depp looks at her directly, and his voice is calm but firm. I'm not angry, Joy, I'm just done. There's a difference. Anger would mean I still care, and I don't. I've let it go because holding on to it would only hurt me. But forgiveness, that's not something I owe anyone. That's something people have to earn, and some people never will. The other hosts are watching this exchange like it's a tennis match, their heads turning back and forth. One of them finally speaks up, trying to lighten the mood. Johnny, let's talk about something more positive. You've got new projects coming out. What are you excited about? What's next for you? Depp seems to appreciate the change in direction. He relaxes slightly, his shoulders dropping just a bit. I'm excited about a lot of things. I've got some films in the works that I'm really passionate about. I'm working with directors and actors I admire. And honestly, I'm just excited to be doing what I love, again without all the noise. That's all I've ever wanted, just to make art and tell stories. Joy isn't ready to let him off the hook completely though. She jumps back in. But Johnny, you have to admit, the noise is part of the job now. You can't separate the art from the artist anymore. People want to know who you are as a person, not just as an actor. How do you deal with that? Depp sighs, and there's a weariness in his voice now. I deal with it by not reading the comments, by not engaging with the noise. I focus on my work, I focus on the people I love, and I try to stay grounded. It's not always easy, but it's necessary. Because if I let the noise in, if I let it consume me, then I lose myself. And I've already lost enough. Joy shifts in her seat, and you can tell she's gearing up for something big. She's been testing him, probing for weak spots, and now she's ready to go for the kill. Johnny, I want to ask you something that I think a lot of people are wondering. Do you think you're a good person? It's a loaded question, the kind that's designed to make him stumble no matter how he answers. If he says yes, he looks arrogant. If he says no, he's admitting fault. But Depp doesn't fall for it. He sits there for a moment, really thinking about it, and then he answers with complete honesty. I think I'm a flawed person who's tried his best. I've made mistakes, I've hurt people, I've done things I regret. But I've also loved deeply. I've been loyal, I've tried to be there for the people who mattered to me. So am I good? I don't know. I think most people are just trying to figure it out as they go. And I'm no different. Joy isn't satisfied with that. She wants something more, something she can use. But don't you think, given everything that's happened, you should be able to say definitively whether you're a good person or not? Shouldn't you have done that work by now? Depp lets out a small laugh, but there's no humor in it. Joy, I've spent years in therapy. I've examined every part of my life, every choice I've made, every relationship I've had. I've done the work. But what you're asking me to do is perform some kind of public confession or redemption arc for your audience. And I'm not going to do that. My growth, my healing, that's private. It's mine. I don't owe anyone a show. The audience reacts to this. Some people clapping, others silent. Joy raises her eyebrows, clearly not expecting him to be so direct. Okay, so you're not going to give us the redemption story. Fine, but let me ask you this. Do you think the industry owes you anything? Do you think you're owed an apology from the people who dropped you? Depp shakes his head immediately. No, I don't think anyone owes me anything. People made choices based on the information they had at the time, or based on what they thought was best for their careers. What I do think is that the industry should take a long, hard look at how quickly it turns on people without waiting for facts. But an apology? No, I'm not waiting around for that. Joy leans forward, her voice taking on a more aggressive edge. But doesn't that make you angry? Doesn't it make you bitter? You lost so much because people believed lies about you. How are you not furious? Depp meets her gaze, and his voice is steady. Of course, I was angry. I was furious for a long time. But anger like that, it eats you alive. It destroys you from the inside out. So I had to make a choice. I could stay angry and let it consume me. Or I could let it go and move forward. I chose to move forward. That doesn't mean I've forgotten, and it doesn't mean I've forgiven everyone. It just means I'm not going to let it define the rest of my life. Joy presses harder. So you've moved forward. But what about accountability? What about taking responsibility for your part in all of this? You keep talking about being a victim, but you've admitted yourself that you weren't perfect. So where's your accountability? Depp's jaw tightens, and for the first time, you can see real frustration breaking through. My accountability? Joy, I've been held accountable in every possible way. I went to court, I testified, I had every detail of my private life exposed to the world. I lost my career, my reputation, my peace of mind. What more do you want? Do you want me to get on my knees and beg for forgiveness? Because that's not going to happen. I was in a toxic relationship. I made mistakes, but I was also abused and lied about. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise just to make you or anyone else comfortable. The energy in the room has shifted completely now. Joy's face shows she's rattled, but she doesn't back down. Johnny, I'm just trying to have an honest conversation here. Depp cuts her off, his voice sharp. No, you're not. You're trying to get me to say something you can use against me. You're trying to trap me into admitting something that fits your narrative. And I'm not going to do it. I came here in good faith, thinking we could have a real conversation, but this is just another hit job disguised as an interview. Joy's face flushes, and she raises her voice. That's not fair. Johnny, I'm asking you tough questions because that's my job. If you can't handle tough questions, then maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews. Depp doesn't raise his voice, but his tone is ice cold. I can handle tough questions. Joy, what I can't handle is someone pretending to care about truth and accountability, while ignoring all the evidence that contradicts their predetermined narrative. You've already decided who I am, and nothing I say here is going to change that. So why are we even doing this? The studio goes silent. Depp continues before anyone can interrupt. Joy, you asked me if I think I'm a good person. Let me ask you something. Do you think you're a good person? Do you think, sitting here, trying to tear me down on national television, asking me to prove my worth to you and your audience, do you think that makes you good? Or does it just make you feel powerful? Joy's mouth opens, but no words come out. The audience is dead silent. Depp's voice is quiet, but intense. I've sat here and answered your questions. I've been honest. I've been vulnerable. And all you've done is try to find ways to make me look bad. So before you sit there and judge me, before you demand accountability from me, maybe you should ask yourself what you're actually trying to accomplish here. Are you trying to have a real conversation, or are you just trying to score points? Joy finds her voice. Defensive now. I'm trying to ask the questions that people want answered. Depp cuts her off. Accountable to whom? To you. Two people who've already made up their minds. I was held accountable in a court of law. Joy, a jury heard all the evidence and they made their decision. But that's not enough for you. You want me to grovel? You want me to admit to things I didn't do? You want me to fit into the box you've created for me, and I won't do it. Joy tries to regain control. Johnny, I think you're being unfair. I've given you a platform to tell your side. Depp actually laughs. A short, bitter sound. A platform? I didn't need you to give me a platform. I came here because I thought we could have a meaningful conversation. But this isn't a conversation, it's an interrogation. And you're not interested in the truth. You're interested in the version of events that fits what you already believe. Joy takes a breath. Johnny, I hear what you're saying, but... Depp shakes his head. No, you don't. If you heard me, you wouldn't keep asking the same questions in different ways. If you heard me, you'd acknowledge that maybe things aren't as black and white as you want them to be. But you can't do that, because it would mean admitting you might have been wrong. Joy's voice rises. I'm trying to give voice to people who think you got away with something. Depp's voice stays calm. And those people have every right to their opinions. But I also have the right to defend myself and to refuse to be bullied into saying things I don't believe. You can represent whoever you want, Joy. But you don't get to put words in my mouth or demand that I perform contrition for things I didn't do. Joy takes one more shot. So what do you want people to know, Johnny? If you could say one thing to everyone watching, what would it be? Depp looks directly into the camera. I'd say, don't believe everything you read. Don't make up your mind about someone based on headlines. If you care about the truth, actually look at the evidence. Actually listen to what people are saying, not just what you want to hear. And remember that everyone deserves the presumption of innocence and the right to defend themselves. Joy nods, clearly unhappy with how this went. Well, Johnny Depp, thank you for being here. Depp stands up, and as he shakes hands with the hosts, he looks at Joy one more time. Thank you for having me, Joy. I hope next time we can actually have a conversation instead of a cross-examination. He walks off the set, and the audience erupts. If you made it this far, you just witnessed one of the most intense interviews in recent television history. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. What did you think of how Johnny handled himself? Did he shut Joy down, or did she have valid points? Let us know your thoughts. The evidence. Actually listen to what people are saying, not just what you want to hear. And remember that everyone deserves the presumption of innocence and the right to defend themselves. Joy nods, clearly unhappy with how this went. Well, Johnny Depp, thank you for being here. Depp stands up, and as he shakes hands with the hosts, he looks at Joy one more time. Thank you for having me, Joy. I hope next time we can actually have a conversation instead of a cross-examination. He walks off the set, and the audience erupts. If you made it this far, you just witnessed one of the most intense interviews in recent television history. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. What did you think of how Johnny handled himself? Did he shut Joy down, or did